Hi you guys, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for today's video. I know it's been a minute since I've made a video, but I promise I've been super busy this summer into fall. I was selected as a featured designer for the Fall One Room Challenge sponsored by Better Homes and Gardens, and we get to pick a room to renovate in about 8 weeks. I got a little bit over that, about 10 weeks, and I picked my kitchen. Our kitchen was one of those spaces in our home that we just kept putting off the renovation, putting it off. We've been in this house 6 years, and you know what? When I got this opportunity to be a featured designer, I said, let's do it. Let's finally get the kitchen done, get our new countertops we've always wanted, the backsplash we've always wanted. We've done a lot of little like Band-Aids on the kitchen, but this is finally time to do the full renovation and get everything we really want in the kitchen. So if you want to see how my gorgeous kitchen turned out, make sure you keep watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, give this video a like, leave a comment down below if you want to see more room makeovers. And yeah, let's get started with the Calm Chateau kitchen renovation. Here's what our kitchen looked like when we first moved into our home back in 2015. It was a butter yellow. I hated the busy backsplash. I did not love the brown granite countertops, but these were things that I knew I could live with until we got around to renovating the kitchen, especially since it was already modern and updated. It just wasn't to my taste. But I knew that we could make some changes to the kitchen to sort of add a few Band-Aids to make it look better in the meantime before we could afford to switch out countertops and the backsplash and everything else. So here is what we did with the space. This is kind of like right before we started renovating. We changed out the light fixtures. I had wallpaper on the stairs. I painted that backsplash with white paint to make it less busy in there. I added a rug on the floor. We painted the kitchen white. We also added this wallpaper to our breakfast bar and knocked out 2 cabinets to make floating shelves. This was really the best I could do with the kitchen until we could afford to renovate. And honestly, I really liked it over these years. It really suited us. So the first thing I do with any makeover that I do in my home is I create a mood board. So the first thing I do when I renovate any space in our home is I make a mood board, because I need to see my design all together on paper to see if I really like it all together. So I created a mood board for this space. I was going for like calm, some French vibes, some high contrast moments, and I was inspired by transitional design a la Studio McGee and Amber Lewis from Amber Interiors. I wanted something that felt like organic, but still modern, and just like a really like peaceful, calm place. And here's what I came up with. Here's the mood board I came up with for the space. This gave me an overall feeling of calm and really gave me that transitional design style feel I was going for. I knew that having only about 10 weeks to do this makeover, I would need to secure countertops as quickly as possible, because that's something that I was gonna have to have someone fabricate and remove our old countertops and install the new ones. So I actually went to a place local to me called Cabinets and Granite Direct. I think they have a location in Chicago as well. I'll leave the link below if you're local here in Cleveland or you're in Chicago. But it's a slab warehouse essentially. So you can go there. They have a bunch of slabs on display that are in stock, ready for you to use for your project, and they do all the fabricating and installation. So it's a little bit easier than going to a place and like picking out a sample, because usually when you pick out a sample, that has like, 5 to 10 week time of that slab actually being delivered to the warehouse. So it's a bit quicker of a process going through a slab warehouse. When I walked in, I totally fell in love with like the first slab I saw. You guys are going to see that here in a second. And I'm so glad that they were able to install our countertops in just 3 weeks. So 3 weeks from picking them out, they were installed in my space. And that is like unheard of. Like most places around here were like, yeah, it'll be like 12 to 18 weeks. I didn't have that much time. So here is me going shopping for my countertops, and you'll see which ones I picked out, and then you'll also see them installed into my space. Here is me shopping at the Slab Warehouse that's local to me. I highly recommend this if you're on a time crunch. There's also usually a lot of budget-friendly options here as well. I fell in love with this countertop when I first walked in. I really did like this one as well, but I thought it might be too busy for the calm kitchen vibes I was going for. We hired a team to rip out our existing granite countertops and the backsplash, and I'm not gonna lie, this was a point where I was really questioning my life choices because there was no turning back after this. But in my mind, I was like, okay, it has to look bad before it's gonna look good. And yeah, it looked pretty bad, not gonna lie. But the guys came to install the new countertops in literally 3 weeks. We got really lucky. They were able to slate us in for install right away. And I opted to spend a little bit more money to get a waterfall. Here is him installing it on just the peninsula. That's what it looks like on the edge of it. I thought it was so clean. I think they came out so nice and they're so calming. The warm sort of gray tone with the white marbling is beautiful. And there's our sink from MR Direct. And the last part of this is just me taking down all of our cabinet hardware. They were really oversized, ultra modern, and I wanted to go for something more simple, so I just patched the holes on all of these and got some paint to match in preparation for some new hardware. Another big part of this project was actually redoing our stairs and our hallway because it actually is right adjoined to the kitchen, so I wanted it to look just as nice as the kitchen did and kind of coordinate. I used to just put removable wallpaper on all the stair risers, and while I love that, it was a great, easy Band-Aid solution. The stairs always bothered me because the wood portion of the stairs was this really orangey oak color, and I always wanted to just paint them white. And then they're very slippery, and I can't even tell you how many times I've fallen down just those few stairs that we have. So I wanted to add a stair runner, which I thought would be great and look very cohesive with the kitchen because I planned on matching the floor rug we're going to use in the kitchen with the stair runner. So let me show you how I made over the stairs. To upgrade our stairs, I started by removing the old handrail. I ordered one from Amazon that was matte black and a lot more sleek than this orangey wood number. And then I gave the stairs a really good cleaning, vacuumed, wiped them down, all of that in preparation for paint. And I even removed all of the removable wallpaper that I had on all the stair risers. It was actually really easy to remove it, and it didn't leave a sticky residue like I thought it might. I did give it a good wipe down though, and a light sanding before I decided to paint. Then I started painting all of the stairs. I wanted everything to be white underneath the runner. I wanted to say goodbye to that orangey wood. It did take me like 3 or 4 coats of white, and I got a bunch of white paint on my butt right there. Don't judge me. And then once all the paint was dry, I started installing our new Laloy Rugs stair runner with my electric staple gun from WORKPRO tools. We got a busy enough pattern rug that stapling was no problem. You don't even see the staples because of the busyness of the rug. A super easy and honestly kind of fun project I did in our space was adding window panes to our patio sliding doors and our window. I could not afford to replace our window and door, and also the time constraint wouldn't have allowed me to replace those things anyway during this 8 to 10 week renovation we were doing in the kitchen. So what I ended up doing was finding this company. They're in the USA. They're called New Panes, and they make these little PVC strips that are like flat. And you can get 3M tape. You can get, I think there's like a Velcro version as well. And they basically cut to size with scissors. You put them in these little connectors, and then you make a grid and you stick them to the door with 3M tape or Velcro or your window, and you can create this really cool grid-like pattern. Let me show you how I did that and how it turned out. Here's what our patio sliding door looked like before. We actually have a frosted film on it because we wanted some privacy, and also, like, we live in Ohio. It doesn't always look great on our patio year round. So these are the little PVC strips that you get. Here are the connectors, and then I opted for the command strips, and that is how you adhere them to the windows that you have. And all you have to do is cut them to size, put them with the grid, and put the grid on the door with the 3M tape. Here is me measuring and cutting all my pieces to size and adding them to the connectors. Measure 8,000 times, cut once. Make sure you know the size of your door frame so that you can line it up perfectly. And here's me installing one. Here's how they both came out. Honestly, one of the easiest projects I've done, and it makes such a big difference and was quite affordable. The PVC trim that I bought from New Paints was less than $200 to do both patio doors and the window. Our tile choice. Oh my gosh, did I hem and haw over this decision in the kitchen, because I decided early on that I wanted to carry the backsplash tile all the way up and over our window, above our patio sliding door, and down the entire breakfast bar area in the back behind our floating shelves. So I wanted to really love the tile because it was gonna be like 89 square feet of tile. And I'm so happy with what I chose. I was originally going to just do a subway tile, and I'm glad I decided to do something a little bit non-traditional, but still we laid them out in a staggered pattern like a subway tile. They are 4x4 tiles from my sponsor Tile Bar. They are the Montauk tiles, 4x4 size in gin. That's the color of them. They have this beautiful sheen to them, and they are so sleek and clean, but they also have like a cottagey feel because they're sort of like a handmade look to them. They look like Zellage tiles, but for a fraction of the price. Zellage tiles can be like $18 plus a square foot. These were like $6 and something cents per square foot, which was really affordable, especially since we had 89 square feet to cover in the space. I wanna thank Tile Bar for gifting the tile in this space, but I did hire a team of 2 to come and install the tile, and check out that process right now. Here's what the tiles look like that we chose. Beautiful sheen, love the handmade detailing. We hired a team of 2 for about $1,000. They came bright and early one day, and they got it all done in one day because they used a special quick dry mortar, and honestly, they were a well-oiled machine. One was measuring and cutting while the other one was placing the tiles. They were going back and forth all day long, and they really did a fabulous job. I did want to hire the pros for this job instead of learning how to tile myself, because we did have a lot of little corners and crevices to work around, given that we wanted to put it above the window and over the patio sliding doors. Here's the next morning when they finished. Honestly, you guys, I was so impressed, and our kitchen was really starting to look like a kitchen again after they got all of this done. As I expected, the tile has such a beautiful sheen to it, and depending on the lighting, it can look like there's some color variation in the tiles as well. It's just a super, super pretty, sleek tile. Honestly, I don't think I could have picked a better tile for this kitchen. It was exactly what I was hoping for. Here is my husband reinstalling our floating shelves back up. They actually were kind enough to leave us these little holes in the tile with X's for where the studs were, so we could easily just rehang our floating shelves with the brackets that we had up there before. Super smart the way they did this, because it made it really easy for us to reinstall our floating shelves. I did end up painting the trim around the patio sliding doors a contrasting color, but I'm not gonna lie, I ended up not keeping this color, but you guys voted on my Instagram to change the color to black. So in the final reveal, you will see that I ended up painting it black for some high contrast there, and I have no regrets on that decision. I knew I wanted contrast, but I think the gray that I chose wasn't dark enough to really give that big pop I was looking for. One of the other things I've always wanted to change about our kitchen is when we moved in, the kitchen peninsula didn't have any trim work, no board and batten or anything, and it also wasn't even painted to match the cabinets. It was just like primed white and never finished, and it wasn't trimmed out. Like, it just didn't look finished at all. It just sort of was like this raw area in our home. And you know, you can kind of disguise that with having large counter stools in front of it. And we were selecting large counter stools for our kitchen, but I wanted the next homeowner to be able to put a simpler counter stool there if they wanted to, and still have a very finished look on the peninsula. So let me show you how I trimmed it out. I actually did this really cool thing that sort of mixes modern and traditional. Check it out. Here's what our kitchen peninsula looked like before. You can see there's lots of gaps everywhere. It just really did not look finished at all. So I started by adding some 1x3s to all of the outside edges to seal those gaps there. And I'm just using my brad nailer, some MDF 1x3s from Lowe's, Very affordable to do. I think this project was maybe like less than $200, I want to say, with all the supplies. And I'm just making sure that I'm closing all those gaps. My husband helped me a little bit here. Next, I'm adding vertical battens, as they call them, to get that board and batten look. You want to make sure that you have equal spaces throughout, so make sure you measure a couple of times before you decide to start installing these vertical pieces, which will separate it into 4 different sections is what I chose for this. Next, I'm adding shoe molding with mitered edges to the insides of each of my boxes that I created. I got this idea from my friend Erin from Kismet House on Instagram, and it just gives that perfect balance of modern and traditional. And to finish it off, I'm adding the same shoe molding to the outside edges of the entire peninsula to really finish it off. The last step is just to fill any nail holes, caulk any gaps, and paint. I'm using a cabinet paint that I had tinted to match my cabinets. Now that the kitchen is almost complete, it was time to style the space. This is always my favorite part. It's like the cherry on top of any design. And since my kitchen design was so simple and clean, I really felt like this was a great opportunity to make it really come to life. I didn't want to overdo the styling, but I certainly wanted to make an impact and really make the space feel cozy and comfortable. And that's pretty much going to be the end of my kitchen renovation. So this next clip will take you into the styling of my kitchen and the reveal finally. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, and I really hope you love the outcome. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys on the next video. Now it's finally time to style my kitchen. I wanted to keep the styling super minimal and clean and feature vintage and modern elements together for that truly transitional style design. I love incorporating candles and even a lamp in the kitchen for some extra coziness. Over on the breakfast bar, I did try to keep the decorative elements to a minimum. This little corner here is the exception because I wanted to keep it super practical for everyday use. These rattan boxes store my teas, and then I set up a little coffee bar station with our toaster and some straws and our sugar. And then I set up on the second shelf our everyday glasses and everyday dinnerware, so we would have those at the ready. Up top, I styled it a little bit more with decorative vases. All right, now who's ready for the reveal?